Hello for the last time this set, everyone. This is part 4 of all the card reviews for both Abysscraft and Neutral. And just a friendly reminder that the review is based off of my perspective of being able to use the neutral cards in Abysscraft. So again, if a card I think is kind of mediocre, but you think is really great because it's great in Runecraft or Forcecraft, like, you know, just kind of keep that in mind. I'm not bashing the card in general. It's just for things I could potentially use them for. But yeah, let's take a quick look at the rating scale again. As always, the rating scale is from 5 to 0, with 5 being really good, so good that it's basically meta-warping and meta-defining, and 0 being it's a garbage card, with the average cards being a 3 and everything else kind of being, you know, kind of scaled based off of that. And do keep in mind as well, this is a relativistic scale, so it's based off of how good the card could be for the best deck it could fit in. So for just a quick example, from set 14 neutrals, I had the new Flaming Glass as rated 4, because obviously if you're running an Archfiend deck that it's meant for, you're going to be running the card. Because if you look at the scaling, it is a solid, strong card and needed for its respective deck. So just kind of keep that in mind. If you see kind of weird things that you're like, oh, this is such a bad card, why do you have this as like a 3 of or a 4, or not a 3 of, but you know, a rating of 3 or a rating of 4. Like, clearly if you're making a Flaming Glass deck, you're gonna be needing Archfiends, and the new Flaming Glass is gonna fit in that Archfiend deck perfectly. So that's all I'm trying to explain as far as the card rating goes. So without much further ado, let's get into the first card. First up is Bane, great one. It is a 3-cost for 4 follower that on Fanfare you can discard 3 cards to put a Great Testimony token into your EX area, and I have the Great Testimony just to the right of it. Great Testimony says it's a 0-cost spell and says select an enemy follower on the field and destroy it, and if there is a Bane, great one, on your field, deal 2 damage to its leader. And I'm gonna just put it out there, I usually call him Jerry, so from now on I'm just gonna refer to him as Jerry. But if we look back at Jerry, he has an act ability that says banish a Jerry Omen of 1, which is the old format, the set 5 Jerry, from your cemetery, deal 2 damage to each enemy leader, draw 2 cards, and you can only activate it once per turn. My miscellaneous note here where I say Fanfare has to be 3 discards, I just am stating that because it doesn't say discard up to 3 cards, it has to be specifically 3 cards, so if you only have 2 or 1 or 0, you just can't even do the Fanfare. But yeah, the closest and most immediate deck that everyone will think of with Jerry is Festive, which is certainly a possibility. I have been seeing some like conversations between him being run or not being run, and I've seen a good mix of some decks in the list of Japanese deck lists that run Festive that do run both versions of Jerry, and I believe there was one that only ran the old version of Jerry, and I've seen lists that run no Jerrys, and so it seems kind of mixed whether you actually do want or need him in the deck. So I'm not gonna really say one way or the other. I haven't played the deck, I haven't made any proxies of the deck, so I have no real opinion one way or the other. I'll probably at least try him in the deck, but for the sake of his rating, I've left him as a 2 because he seems really volatile as far as what people think, whether opinions go or when you look at deck lists. Like I said, some have him in there, some don't, so you know, I'll kind of leave it at 2, which if you kind of look back at the rating, it says it's a good card but may or may not be run at all in its respective deck, so I feel that kind of is pretty accurate to Jerry. Next up is Gilnelise, Ravenous Craving. She's a 2-cost 2/2 that evolves for 1, and while your leader has 10 defense or less, she also has Drain. Her on-evolve still retains the being able to get Drain if you have 10 or less defense, and she becomes a 3/3, and on-evolve you can choose one of the following. You can select another follower on the field and give it +2 attack and -2 defense, or put a Ravenous Sweetness token into your EX area. The Ravenous Sweetness token is a 5-cost spell that says deal 2 damage to each enemy leader, give your leader 2 defense, draw 2 cards, and each opponent discards 2 random cards. So the whole idea with Gilnelise is she's able to take things from your opponent and give them to you, is kind of her whole deal. I gave her rank a 2 because, again, she kind of is like Jerry, where it's like she doesn't have anything necessarily wrong or bad with her, but she doesn't tend to fit neatly into any certain deck strong enough that like it's a needed card for that deck. So like she can work for 2 cost and control decks, but she's not the best 2-cost or control option, but I've seen control decks run Gilnally, so that's certainly a possibility. But control just is, in my opinion, such a nebulous archetype that really just kind of depends on what the meta is, that it's hard to just say like this is the best control deck, because it can just fluctuate literally every single meta. So again, just like Jerry, because of that kind of fluctuation of like what you want to do with the deck and people's opinions on the card, I gave it a rank of 2 of, so you can choose, you know, it's basically like take it or leave it as far as if you want to actually run the card or not, and certainly try it out. By all means, I fully encourage people to try out cards, unless the card is like so blatantly so strong that there's just nothing else to contend with it. I'm very open to people trying the weirdest of decks and builds, and you've probably seen based on videos I've recently uploaded too, specifically referencing the Gorgon gameplay with the Gorgon deck I played. That is just a hot mess, but it was just something I wanted to just try with the new Evil Eye Medusa and the Viper Lash spell. Anyways, enough of my side tangent, let's hop on to the next card. Next is Ariel. It's a weird way of saying their name. I'm used to like Ariel from The Little Mermaid, but I guess this is Ariel. Anyways, it's a 2-cost 0/1 angel that evolves for 1, has ward, and on fanfare you can select a follower on your field and give it +1/+1, which sounds like you can also include itself. I think this one is a pretty simple cut and dry card. I mean, it's an angel, so you can run it in Fallen Angel or Angel decks. It is a 2-cost, so I suppose in theory you could run it in 2-cost decks, but this is such a basic card that I feel like a lot of other 2-cost cards just easily outcompete this, so I'm just not even listing it as 2-cost. Even in Angel decks, this is a very underwhelming card, and I think the one Angel, Glistering Angel from the set 14, that's, I believe, if I remember correctly, it is a 2-cost 2/2 that evolves for 1, and on evolve you can check the top 4 to grab an Angel or Fallen Angel. Just completely outcompetes with this. Like, why would you sacrifice consistency for a card that has subpar stats as a 2-cost card? I think you can safely relegate this to the bulk bin. So on to the next card. Thunder God of the Tempest is a 7-cost 5/5 that on fanfare you can select up to 2 of the following. You can either select an enemy amulet on the field and destroy it, deal each enemy follower on the field 3 damage, give this follower storm, or draw 2 cards. I don't see this card being fit into any deck in particular. I mean, I guess you could use it to maneuver the Magic Train. I will probably try to fit this in my Glory Finder deck with a Phoenix Roost build, but that is just, you know, kind of my thing. I know obviously that's not everyone's build or interest, so I'm not really going to touch upon that much, but yeah, it's just kind of a very underwhelming gold card. We're finally moving on to something a little more spicy with Resolve of the Fallen. It's a 1-cost spell that says select an enemy follower on the field and deal it 2 damage. If you have at least 3 face-up followers in your Evolve deck, deal 4 damage instead, and if you have at least 5, draw a card and recover 1 play point. So it's essentially free if you have 5 or more cards in your Evolve deck face-up. I think this card is going to be used in an Angel deck. I at least have a pure Angel deck for the fun of it, and I could probably see this being used, especially since Fallen Harpist can search it out. And it's not technically a straight upgrade from Angelic Snipe, but other than it just not having the quick, which really I don't think you really tend to care about a quick deal 2 damage, other than maybe minus Dead to Rights, because that's kind of a little more relevant with the subtraction of attack. But as far as between Angelic Snipe and this, I don't think the loss of the quick is that big of a deal. And I mean, let's be real, no one is using Angelic Snipe in Angels anyways, because it's just so power crept out, so you might as well try to power creep something more and deal more damage with it by just sacrificing the ability to use quick on it. So I think ultimately this is just a fine replacement for Angelic Snipe. Next is Mechanical Analyzer. It's a 3-cost 3/3 follower that evolves for 1 and becomes a 4/4 on evolve, and the on evolve effect says you get to draw 2 cards, which is pretty good, I'd say. Despite me giving this a rank of 0, I actually kind of like this card, at least on paper. I mean, I probably wouldn't really like it once I start playing with it, because I mean, it literally doesn't do anything other than just potentially swing out a follower with Rush to destroy it, and you get to draw 2 cards, which is not the worst in the world, I think, but I think there's enough other cards that do other things that this is just, it gets outclassed by, especially the 3-cost 1/2 evolve slot in a deck. Like almost every main deck tends to have a card that is a 3-cost 1/2 evolve that has some effect that it just is absolutely needed for the deck that this is trying to compete with, and this is just going to lose every single time. But this is definitely a card that my primitive card game brain sees, and it's just like, ooh, good stat, you know, like good baseline stats, ooh, draw 2 cards, ooh, gets Rush, ooh, good card, you know, like just kind of without even thinking about anything else, like my brain just goes, good card, ooh, you know, and like you want to play it, but it's not, because there's just so many other good competing 3-cost 1-evolve cards. Okay, next up is Messenger of the Skies. It's a 5-cost 3/4 follower that on Fanfare says select an enemy follower on the field and destroy it, and then look at the top 4 cards of your deck, and you may reveal an angel or fallen angel card and put them into your hand from among them, and then put the rest in the bottom of your deck in any order. I'm kind of conflicted with this one because I do like it, especially in regards to being able to use Sahakiel and Israfil to play it, and then upon evolving Sahakiel and Israfil, it goes back to the EX area, and then you play it again. So you get to pop 2 things and then check the top basically 8 cards of your deck for a fallen angel or angel card. But what I don't really like about it is the subpar stats for being a 5-cost. Like 3/4 is pretty bad, and it doesn't have like any way of like helping protect you, like with ward or anything. Like it feels like it should have ward. Like you can pop something, you can ward with it to protect yourself from it while also trying to, you know, clear something on the opponent's board. But the fact that you just only kill 1 thing for 5 play points just seems a little too expensive, and especially with the subpar stats. But I don't know, I might certainly try this a little bit, but there are other good 5-cost angels like Dark Angel Olivia and Corruption Guardian that this is also competing with, so it seems like there's a little bit of a competition, and seems like some things are going to have to get, you know, squeezed out of the deck. That's not to say I hate this card. I really love that you can check the top 4, like even more consistency, but it seems like between Fount of Angels and then the Glistering Angel from set 14, that kind of feels like it's more appropriately statted at a 2-cost with 1 evolve to check the top 4 to grab a fallen angel or angel. Like that seems kind of more appropriately statted of an effect compared to Messenger of the Skies here having to cost 5. I mean, I get popping a follower is nice, but still, like 5 is still pretty late into the game to just kill 1 thing. Alright, next up is Merciless Voiding. It is a 3-cost spell that says summon X ancient artifact tokens. X equals the number of enemy followers on the field. It seems pretty simple and straightforward. The only thing real to note on this card is you kind of basically break even with 3 followers on the enemy field if you can summon 3 ancient artifact tokens, because assuming each one costs 1 to play and you're having to invest 3 play points into just playing the spell, that means, you know, to break even you have to play 3, and if you get 4 or 5, then you're technically plussing. I get the impression they kind of made this as a kind of maybe anti-small follower rushing down the opponent kind of card, especially with 3 attack that should take out any kind of small follower, especially with Storm or anything like that. Uma Musume does kind of come to mind with this card because there's a lot of smaller followers in that you could play this to rush into. But ultimately, it's probably just going to be another bulk bin card, not really used that much at all, if anything. Next up is Nomadic Conductor. It's a 1-cost 1/1 follower that evolves for 1, and on evolve you get to draw a card and put a card in your hand to the bottom of your deck. I could see this being run in a Giant Chimera deck. I remember, well, at least back in the older sets, you'd run Mystic Ring to draw a card and then put a card back to the bottom, so that if you had Giant Chimera in your hand, you could just put it back into your deck. But otherwise, this seems more of like maybe a Glory Finder kind of card, where early game you could kind of play it to try to cycle your hand a little bit in your deck to kind of find better card pieces and put something back into the deck that you want. From a standard perspective, I really don't see this being used. Maybe, just maybe, if you're trying to make like a mercenary deck. I know mercenary is a very common trait in neutral, so if somebody wants to kind of have the fun of doing that, you could, but otherwise I don't really see anything super crazy with it. Next up is Mountain Gigas. It's a 7-cost 7/7 with Rush and Ward, and on Fanfare you get to select an enemy follower on the field and deal it 7 damage. It's pretty short, sweet, and to the point, and I will probably honestly run it in my Glory Finder deck, but otherwise, like for a normal standard deck, this is just like nothing. There's nothing to do with it. And the last card is Fluffy Angel. It's a 2-cost 2/3 follower that on Fanfare and Last Words you give your leader 1 defense. This card is almost just like Happy Pig, with the only difference being Happy Pig is a beast attribute follower and this is an angel follower. So hooray, I guess you can just play mediocre angel cards in an angel deck still. So yeah, this is just another bulk bin card. This is almost getting like frustrating how bad some of these cards are, and I know they're neutral, so it's like they can't have them be like super crazy crazy or out of the ordinary, but it's just like, come on, you're gonna reprint Happy Pig with just the angel attribute instead. I suppose with this being an angel attribute card, it kind of fits well with the whole Sahakiel and Israfil, like playing a follower, evolving Sahakiel and Israfil, and it bouncing back to the EX area, and then replaying it to heal one more as well. But there's obviously clearly way better followers to summon with Sahakiel and Israfil than Fluffy Angel. So, you know, like I said, before I digress even further, this is just bulk. So there you have it, a rundown of all the neutrals. What I might do in the future, only because a lot of the neutrals are just so bad that there's just really not much to talk about, is maybe I'll start trying to meme them a little bit more like I did with the mechanical analyzer, but we'll see. It kind of also depends on the art and everything, so I'll keep it in mind as more of maybe a fun part of the segment. But yeah, for now, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much everyone for watching, and have a great day. Bye.